From Nate Diaz talking about his last fight, to Colby Covington's responding to Dustin Poirier, and Khamzat Chimaev chiming in on the UFC 272 main event, all this and more in today's MMA Rumor. Let's get to it. 1. Colby says UFC 272 win wasn't his best performance and talks Dustin Poirier. After Colby Covington beat up on Jorge Masvidal for the better part of 25 minutes to get the job done at UFC 272 this past weekend, Chaos immediately called out one fighter who he also has a history with, perhaps a bit more of a testy relationship. Chaos called out the Diamond, Dustin Poirier, his former teammate at American Top Team in Florida, and the two have had a war of words through the media over the last few months, especially after Dustin lost to Charles Oliveira back in December for the UFC Lightweight Championship. Colby has described Dustin's wife as a Jezebel and has said continuously harsher and harsher things towards Dustin that the Diamond has stated it's on site with Colby, alluding to the fact that he'd fight him in the street if it came down to it. Then, after Colby called out Dustin following the fight, he posted this on Twitter in response. Bomba clots. During the post-fight press conference for UFC 272, Colby was told about Dustin's response, an insult in Jamaican Pauta, and said this in response.
Let's do it, bro. He said it's on site, man. Let's do it, man. Stop talking reckless to the media, man. If I talk to the media and say things, I come out here and back it up. I'm a man of my word. So, you know, we can do it anywhere. We don't have to do it in a UFC octagon. If he wants to do it in a park or in the street, my only one concern is, my one stipulation is, you let the world watch and enjoy themselves.
If the UFC were to ever put this fight together, it would most likely be at welterweight, at 170 pounds, given that Colby has stated that he would stay at this weight rather than cut down. It would also stand to reason that he would be well prepared for someone like Dustin, especially after saying that he did let emotions get the best of him for the Masvidal fight. Colby had so much hate going into this bout that he admitted he let things get a bit out of his reach, but ultimately, he did get the job done. This is what he said about that.
Yeah, it wasn't my best performance. Just a lot of emotions going into it, That was a real friend of mine at one point in my career, and, he's such a backstabbing thief, and he talks so reckless, and he's tried to make some false narratives to the media, make a lot of lies, like he does. He's a liar, he's a thief, so, I let the emotions get the best of me, but, it was still dominant.
Ultimately, it's unclear where Colby goes from here and who he would fight, but what do you think? What are your thoughts on him calling out Poirier? 2. Nate Diaz continues to say he'll retire. Dana White remains optimistic. Nate Diaz has been in the UFC since The Ultimate Fighter Season 5 in 2017 and has fought for the lightweight title in the past. He's also one of the biggest names in the sport and is a massive fan favorite. That's why many in the MMA world don't like what they're hearing from Diaz lately. Nate is in the last fight of his current UFC deal and is looking for one more bout, a big-time fight against Dustin Poirier, and then to call it a career. While it's not known if this is more posturing from Nate Diaz to create more leverage for another potential huge UFC deal, he has continued to stick to his guns on this whole retirement talk, especially after UFC President Dana White has stated that he would, quote, be surprised if Nate Diaz doesn't sign another deal to fight Conor McGregor in a trilogy fight. This is what Diaz tweeted over the weekend. I'm ready to fight my last fight at UFC, at Dana White. These guys says he's ready also, so let's get this shit popping. I got shit to do. Then, during the post-fight press conference for UFC 272, Dana White was asked whether he foresees Diaz signing another UFC deal before booking his next fight, and he simply stated, very good. Diaz retiring would be bad news for the UFC, given how entertaining he is, and all the hype surrounding his fights. But what do you make of Diaz potentially retiring after his next fight? And do you think he'll resign with the UFC? Let us know in the comments. Before we get to our next story, take a second to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the latest fight news. 3. The UFC 272 main event was a dud, according to Khamzat Chimaev. The battle between two old friends turned bitter rivals at UFC 272 went the full 25 minutes, and when it was all said and done, Colby Covington had his hand raised for a unanimous decision victory. Covington utilized his efficient wrestling and top game to stay ahead of Masvidal at every turn and scramble, leaving Game Red in the dust and on his back, with Colby going for submission attempts in between ground and pound and body shots. He took Masvidal down several times throughout the fight, though Masvidal was able to crack Colby a few times and even wobbled him sometime early. But it wasn't enough, as Masvidal looked visibly gassed and was tired in the end of the fight. He couldn't muster any kind of meaningful attack in the later rounds, and that was all she wrote. Colby won the bitter grudge match that had been years in the making. One guy who was fixated on this fight was Khamzat Chimaev. Boris is undefeated in his career, including 4-0 in the UFC, and has finished all of his opponents. He's an incredibly talented fighter whom many saw as the next welterweight contender and could also challenge the winner of this fight to potentially get a title shot. Either way, Khamzat wasn't impressed by both Masvidal and Colby. This is what he tweeted out as he was watching the fight unfold. Bullshit fight. Khamzat is currently preparing to take on Gilbert Burns, a former title challenger who remains one of the most dangerous men in the division. Dana White, the UFC president, made it known during the press fight conference that the winner of this fight at UFC 273 in April might set themselves up for a title shot, though it remains to be seen what happens. What do you think about Khamzat calling out Masvidal and Colby's performance? Let us know in the comments below. There's always so much going on in the fight world, and we got it all here for you on MMA Rumor. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and hit the notification bell to keep updated with all things MMA. Thanks for watching.